I met Brian about 2 years ago, and I hired him as a coach. And at the time when I hired him, and he told me what it would cost, the investment that would be required to hire him, I had to think about it for a few minutes. I didn't let him off the phone. I made the decision there on the phone because, to have a successful business, you got to make decisions. And hiring Brian, it was an easy decision to make to want to hire Brian, even though at the time it was a big number. I say at the time because since then my business has grown so much that the number that 2 years ago looked like a big number to me now is like I don't even think about those kind of numbers. So the first thing that Brian did when I started working with him was he laid out my entire business and really showed me where I was wasting my time on activities that were bringing in money, but were never going to be able to really leverage my unique talents and really scale in my business. And he convinced me. He showed me. It was hard in the beginning, but I trusted him, and it worked. He convinced me to literally cut out a few sources of revenue, and by cutting out a couple of business lines, to cut out a couple of things that were generating revenue, it allowed me to redirect some resources and redirect a lot of time and energy into things that have grown massively, much, much bigger. I never would have been able to do that had he not shown me what was so obvious to him, on the outside looking in, but for me on the inside, it was not clear at the time. Now looking back at it, it's like, he's like a genius. We're basically doing 7 figures now, where when I met Brian, we were doing like the low 2s. And the growth has just been phenomenal. He's a pleasure to work with. He's a great guy, very creative, great judgment. When he tells you something, you can be confident that he thought about it. And that's one of the things that I really like about a coach, working with a coach, is I want to work with someone who's gonna tell you things that he's actually thought a lot about and consider the upside and also consider the downside before recommending it to you. He gives practical advice, lots of great ideas, and like I said, just a real pleasure to work with. I've been working with him for 2 years, and I just wrote another check for the year ahead already. So that should tell you something. All right, thank you, Brian.